Alright, and we're back. I wanted to get the defaults opened up for you and show you guys how to do a quick candle chart. So, don't it loaded up. Okay, never mind. It loaded up my default again. Let me see if I can. Oh, here we go. Alright, so so to basically I'll show the tech savvy people real quick how to do this. So up top here you got all your different tools when you log onto this. Obviously we're on charts, and if you go all the way over to the right here, you got actions, and here's where you change the style and everything, all of the customizations on your charts. So I'm going to start here over here with style, and we're just going to reset to defaults. I really hope that doesn't get rid of my saved one, but let me try again. Huh. Okay, maybe if I type in a different stock. Well, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to keep my chart here just so I don't delete it or do something fishy here. And I'm going to change it to a candlestick. So well, we can see your chart mode, chart type. I've got it set to line. I'll put it at candle. And by default, you're going to the background on these charts here is going to be black. I have a hard time seeing. I have to wear contacts and glasses for this little font, and I just can't see against a black background. So if you wanted to change that, that's also in these settings right here, just under style. Basically all of your main settings are going to be far over on the right, and then for your technical analyses, and all your customizations, that's going to be in your patterns, your studies, and that's it, pretty much your patterns and your studies. So here we're looking at a candlestick chart. So this gives us a better idea of some entry and exit points. So let's look at Intel again, and so this would obviously be the ideal exit point right here. And an easy way to find that is, I mean, you look at this wave oscillator down here. You look at the history. For the most part, this has been a steadily gaining stock. So this is a good stock for buying calls on. So you can see we've had a couple of anomalies here. I would have expected here in the middle, I would have expected that to continue down, but I'm guessing if you go back in the news on that, there's something that pushed that up. So obviously when you see anomalies in these charts, it's because of other outside variables that influence these companies. You got to keep your eye on those. Again, press releases, Google, Thinkorswim, any of those. They've got access to press releases. That's what you need to be researching on your stocks. When you buy any of these companies, any contracts, any shares, you should be looking at these companies like you really have the hundreds, thousands, or millions of dollars to actually buy into it as a franchise, meaning you are actually going to go buy that company. You should be vetting it like you're going to actually go invest into that company and own actual retailers and have employees. That's the type of research you need to be doing into these things. Again, the last point I'm going to drive home again is don't be buying calls and puts that expire tomorrow. If you want to gamble and take the risks, by all means, it's your money. But if you want to make a consistent return and not gamble, you're going to have to fork up the money for the good contracts in the money 4 to 6 months down the road. That's how you're going to make your real consistent money. I know it hurts to buy a contract for that amount of money. It's a lot of money, but you just have to get over that initial hurdle and you'll realize much bigger profits. Much easier said than done, I know. I've been through it. Especially when you're having to pay bills, you're having to take draws. Hopefully, what most of you guys that are serious on here can do is just set aside $1,000 and not have to touch that at all. Because the two main killers here are greed and fear. So people are going to be taking chances that they shouldn't, and people are going to be missing their exit points because they think it'll go up, or they get emotionally involved. Anybody that plays poker out there, you're already 10 steps ahead of the game, because the idea is to play tight and aggressive just like you would at a real table game, and also to be able to naturally gain as much information as you can out of things. You just soak things up. You recognize patterns. You know as much as you can possibly know about your opponent or what you're buying into, in this case, options or shares. So that about wraps it up there for just a beginner chart. Basically, it's going to look a lot like this without these lines. It'll just be, when you first start an account up on Thinkorswim, it's just going to be a standard candle chart with their defaults plugged into that. So in order to change that, you're going to have to go to studies and patterns here. I'm not going to get into that on this video because I'll show you just how many there are. So just as an example, you can see how many different strategies you can add here. So what I recommend doing is learning 2 or 3 of these. So if you know any classic strategies, or what I was going to talk about coming up next week is directional trading strategies. That's what I use personally, and that's pretty basic. That's an easy place to start. So we can build a quick chart together off of that. You can see what I've added as far as classic patterns go. And then studies, you can also add in different variables. So you can run quick studies. I mean, there's anything that you could possibly imagine is programmed into this thing. Anything in this whole thing, I can plug into a chart. That doesn't mean I need all those variables. It doesn't mean that it's still going to predict anything 100%. It's like the weather. You can't predict it 100%. You can get pretty close. You can see when a storm's close. You can take a gamble that it's going to rain after sun tomorrow, which is what I feel like a lot of you guys are doing with your options out there. But we'll continue along, and hopefully you guys will get some useful information as we go along. Until then, take care, guys, and I'll talk to you guys next week. Next week, after I get some trades going, and I'll get those documented for you. take some screen video of doing a successful trade, so a full buy and a full sell on Robinhood Mobile. I will also show you some history, so you can kind of see successful trades done on the mobile platform, what I personally do. So you guys have a good rest of the holiday weekend, and we'll talk to you next week, tomorrow, when the bells hit. Take care, guys.